Hey guys, welcome to our new live show. It's Jeff from Home Renovision. Today we're here to talk about toilets. Really the question is, which toilets are full of crap and which ones deserve to be? Now, let's just get right into this. Went out and I bought 4 different toilets, 2 from Lowe's, 2 from Home Depot. The most popular models, right? Largely because of the price. When it comes to toilets, there's a lot of things going on. Like government mandates are coming into play. They want everybody to have a 1.28 gallon flush. Oh, okay, that's great. We're all going to save how much water we're using. I get it. But the number one thing that I want to know is, do they work, right? Do they flush? Are they performing? So they actually have a testing center. I've checked out the videos online. I've looked at the tests that they're doing. And some of them are involving balls, right? Like balls. Like, even if the water's gone, balls are going to roll downhill. And all plumbing is designed to go downhill. So we're going to do this a little bit differently today. Today, we're going to talk about toilets. We're going to talk about their guts, the designs, the ins and outs, and we're going to stick a whole package of hot Italian sausage in each of them and see if they actually flush. Because you know what? If you can flush a whole package of sausage, chances are it's going to be able to handle your mess too. So we're just going to get real and have a little bit of fun today. I've got a second camera set up. We're going to get some close-up shots inside the tanks and inside the bowls so you guys can see the action live. This is going to be really interesting. Don't know why I'm still holding the plunger. But anyway, let's just talk about this, because toilets, they got like 6 things that they have to have, right? One of them is they got to be able to get rid of the solids. The other one is they got to not waste water anymore. They used to have a 5-gallon tank. If you still got one of those bad boys, think of it this way. In a new house with the new toilets, toilets still represent 30% of the water usage. So if you're on a 5-gallon tank, you got a huge water bill for no reason. The other thing is they got to operate with existing plumbing, all right? So toilets generally have a 2-inch hole at the bottom going into a 3-inch pipe. And when it gets to the bottom of the structure and starts heading to the street, it goes to a 4-inch pipe. And it should go down 1/4 of an inch every foot, maybe 1/8 because of old standards. But you get it. It's a low and slow kind of deal, all right? And they have to look good. They're going to clean easy, and they've got to fit in the space. So we're going to tackle all that information today. We're also going to talk about what the cost of these things is, okay? So let's just introduce our 4 products that we're going to be focusing on. But before we do that, let's just jump in the chat and say hello. This is a live show after all. We should be able to have a little bit of fun. And Pink says, I'm not having the sausage after. I've already talked to the wife. I said, hey, we'll throw this all in the barbecue. She's like, there's no way in hell I'm going to have toilet sausage that was flushed through a toilet. She doesn't care if it's brand new. I'm like, it's clean water. It's clean porcelain. Can't convince her. So if you're in the neighborhood and you want to come by, there's 20 sausages with your name on it. All right. Cruisin wants to know, do all toilets splash water out of the tank? Great question, my man. Now here's the deal. Let's just jump over to this end and we'll answer that. But first, let's introduce the toilets. First one is an American Standard. This was picked up at Lowe's. This particular model has a round toilet, okay? It's a round bowl. And it is a comfort height, like a chair height, 16.5 inches off the ground without a seat. $169. Next one, from Lowe's again, Project Source. It's their own brand. $99, 16.5 inches off the ground. This one's an elongated. We'll talk about the reason why you should have one versus the other in just a minute. And then over here in the culprit, we got the Home Depot corner. We got a Glacier Bay, $99. That's their brand, okay? This one's elongated, and it is a 17-inch height. Now remember, traditional chairs are 18 inches. So once you throw a seat on each of these, it's a nice high seat instead of the low seat, which is like hard on the back, hard on the knees, especially if you're getting older. If you're going to replace a toilet and you're older and you like to make things easier, go with the higher chair heights, okay? Because you don't have to sit down as far, and it makes getting up even easier. And then over here, we got the Kohler. Now, the Kohler is from Home Depot. It's a 16.5-inch height. It's a $179 product. So what we got here is the bargain basement, and then a reasonable price for something that claims to be up to speed as far as all the current modern standards. That's the best price point I could find, all right? And then if you're like me, when you go shopping, you want to buy the cheapest thing that does the job. I'm not into the sexy, smooth side stuff. I hate installing them. They're a nightmare to put together. And for me, really, to be able to clean the side of the toilet once a month, that much easier, it ain't worth the extra $100. Now, let's jump into the back. Because back here, what I got is toilets that are full of water, okay? I've already actually put 2 gallons in each of these tanks because when you flush it, there's a half gallon of water still left inside. All right. Here's the interesting thing. They all have different setups in the back. Okay. And we're going to show you the setup on the close-up camera in just a minute. But this tank over here that has a float valve, and it's factory set that you have water 2 inches from the top of the fill valve. Okay, so you're going to get closer to almost 2.5, 3 gallons in that tank. This one is very similar. This one's definitely going to be 3 gallons. This one is actually really close to factory setting at the 1.28 flush level. So you're only going to have a little bit more than that. And you can adjust the screw to lower the float so that you can have a lot of control over the water, which is great. Now, Matt, let's jump into the other camera here. The back of this tank, okay, it's empty. And this has what I'm talking about right here. This little screw, that little screw right there, it's on a thread. And this little float device, when the float lifts, it shuts off the water supply, okay? That shuts off the water. So where you're set on that float determines how much water goes in the tank. So the government says, hey, we need toilets that are ranked at 1.28 liters. And then they make a toilet that'll hold 3.5 or 4 liters of water, or 4 gallons of water, sorry. You have to adjust it as a consumer if you want 1.28. So consider that. What we're going to do, let's go back to the main camera. Here we are. I am at 2.25 gallons, okay? So I'm going to put a good chunk of it in here. I'm going to save a half gallon for the bowl. All right, we're almost there. That'll be for the flush, okay? Now let's take a look at the bowl. I'm just going to adjust my camera to get that shot. Bam. I think that's good. How does that work for you, Matt? Beautiful. Okay. Now, the way that these toilets work nowadays is the water from inside the tank, okay, it comes down into this toilet 2 different places. One is at the very bottom. You can see there's a hole right at the bottom, okay? Old toilets never had that hole. So there's actually a chamber here, and one of it runs around and goes straight through that hole. The second part of the chamber comes out just underneath the rim. There's a bunch of little holes, and sometimes, depending on the model, they'll have a bigger hole in a couple of spots. The idea is to force the water to go in a circle, clean the entire side of the bowl, to try to keep things clean. Now, when you're done flushing a toilet, there's always about a half a gallon of water left over. Now we'll throw that in there. There we go. We had a little bit more than half a gallon. That's okay. All right. Now, we got all 4 of our toilets set up for the same test. We're going to put the sausage in there. Plus, the test that they use at the store is 4 wads of toilet paper, 6 sheets each. So we're going to add all that together and then try the flush and see if they actually work. How exciting is that? Now, you got any questions about toilets before we jump into the test? Because I wanted to talk about a couple other things. One of them is, if you don't have a soft close seat, you're really ripping yourself off. And not just the top, making sure it's the bottom, okay? That's really crucial because a soft close seat is like $30. It's quality of life. There's nothing worse than finishing the bathroom. You go to close the lid and it slams down, right? That's obnoxious. Now, here's the other thing. We wanted to talk about fit in the space. These toilets are a little different. Most of these toilets, once they're installed, a plumber puts the toilet flange 12 inches on center of the flange, 12 inches from the framing of the wall, okay? Then they do the drywall and all the other stuff. And so the truth is there's 11.5 inches from the center of that toilet to the wall. Each of these toilets is 2 inches from the wall, finished construction, except for this one, okay? I'm sorry, the Glacier Bay. I wrote it on the side. Glacier Bay is 0 clearance. Remember this. If you're going to tile your bathroom and put tile along the wall where the toilet goes, you can't buy the Glacier Bay toilet because it doesn't have room for the tile thickness. It literally is 0 clearance from the back of this toilet right on the wall. And it's designed to give it stability so it's not moving around. Because check this out. Fully installed, it still has a wiggle, okay? It's why it's $100. All right, that's okay. So that's why they do that. So then when you put the lid on, it puts that little pressure forward, 0 clearance, keeps the seal, everybody's happy. So you can't tile that product, all right? Okay, let's see. let's see, is anybody here in the toilet world, have you bought a toilet recently? Do you have had any bad experiences? Hit me up in the chat real quick. Let's go through this before we do the test, because this deserves to wait a few more minutes. How do you fix a soft close seat which has no longer soft closes, Jeff? It now slams down. The way you fix something that's broken is you replace it. It's 30 bucks. I'm going to guarantee you the effort you're going to spend trying to find a way to fix something that's worth 30 bucks, it ain't worth your time and energy. Throw that sucker out and get a new one. It's going to be just fine. Peter wants to know about the modern in-wall toilets. They're not modern, actually. They've been around for a long time. And I'm going to be honest with you, what we're testing here are 4 of the cheapest options available at the local box store. They aren't the best toilets available. American Standard has a really good quality toilet that starts at 450 bucks, okay? Every one of these toilets sits on a wax ring. The wax ring is the limiting factor in quality. Once you get away from a wax ring and you get into a diaphragm assembly, it's actually an assembly that goes on the flange and it guarantees a seal from the toilet to the plumbing, okay? That's where quality starts in toilets. This is just how to get a toilet to stick on a hole. This is the cheap alternative. And if you know how to do a good installation, you can get a great job. But majority of people don't install toilets properly, which is why you should watch my videos. Learn how to do that. Because if you don't install them properly, you destroy the entire home. The subfloor gets full of mold and swells. The flooring is destroyed. It comes through the ceiling in the downstairs. It's a mess. Now here's John. He says he just bought the Toto Nexus. Your thought, if the word Toto is in front of it, it's a quality machine. Okay, it's like buying John Deere. Okay, you don't have to ask, is it going to be a good tractor? Right? You just know. It's all about the brand. Okay. Camille wants to know about rubber or wax for an old house. It all depends, but you know, I love the rubber because you can get a great compression on rubber. And then if your house has a lot of expansion and contraction with building materials and different seasonality, then the rubber can expand and contract to keep your seal. That's one of the reasons why I love that. All right. Great question, Camille. That's awesome. Vega, not going to happen. Not live anyway. Oh, Jonathan wants to know why his water temperature changes when he's in the shower when someone flushes the toilet. That's a really simple thing. It's actually got to do with your shower valve, not the toilet. There is such a thing as a pressure balance valve in a shower. And so when someone's using cold water in another part of the house, the pressure to the shower reduces. A pressure balance valve reduces the hot at the same time, so you maintain the same temperature of your mix at a lower volume. And that's how that's done. So you got an old shower valve that's just throwing a little bit at each, and when the pressure in one changes, it changes the combination of hot to cold, and it messes you up. All right. Is it worth it to buy a 1 and 2 flush toilet? Linda and Frank, great question. They're members of ours. Let's go talk about that right now. Because the Glacier Bay is a 1 or 2 flush toilet, okay? And basically the way this works is this. The valve, instead of being a handle, it's on the top of the tank, okay? I don't know how well you can see that. There's like, there you go, 1 or 2. Yeah, we'll do enough of that fussing around. But 1 is a little bit of water, okay? And it pushes something that pushes 1.1 gallons. And 2 is a lot of water, and it pushes 1.6 gallons. Yeah, read the box. 1.6 gallons is more than you're supposed to use to flush the toilet. Okay, but apparently this toilet requires 1.6 to be effective. Maybe it should be 0.8 and 1.28, but it isn't. It's 1.1 and 1.6. So is it worth it? No. Just get any toilet that doesn't have this, because this is a silly little spring contraption, and they're usually the first thing to break on the toilet. And it'll drive you nuts looking for replacement parts, and then you got to fool around with all that mess. So I wouldn't even bother. I've actually seen situations where the boxes have been open and somebody stole the piece that goes in this because they broke theirs on installation. They took it out and then they closed the box back up and walked out the store with it in their back pocket. All right. Donna wants to know what's a skirted model. A skirted model is really simple. It deals with the side of the toilet. So instead of it looking like a toilet where you can see, you can see that over here. You can see that big curve of the pipe. They actually just have a solid wall and a trap door on each side. And that's how you access your nuts and bolts. It's supposed to make it simpler to clean. It looks more modern, but it's just not very good. All right. Yeah, one of the toilets takes a long time to drain. Maybe a blockage in the vent, DIY solution. If you don't have good venting, just make sure that you don't have a bird making a nest in your exhaust pipe. That's usually the best thing. All right. Okay, you know what? One piece versus two piece. Great question, Joe. Here's the other thing. All these toilets are two piece. Okay. They are more cost effective and you can do it by yourself. You buy the box, it's a 2-man carry. All right. But when you get home, you can open the box and take out each piece one at a time. So you manage it yourself. What you do is you install this on your gasket, tight to the floor, and then you attach the back of the tank. So it's a 2-part installation. And it saves you a little bit of money. It's just not quite as sexy. But you know what? Listen, we got to deal with the poop first. Does it work? Then we got to deal with we're not wasting water. Want to be conservative. And then it has to operate with our existing plumbing. So is there enough water in your home? Sometimes older homes, the plumbing underneath the house goes down and back up again, and it takes more water. So if you're one of these people, you've got an old house, get your camera inspection from a plumber. Check to make sure your lateral line going to the city sewer is actually flat and not full of water. If it's half full of water, then you probably want to get one of these dual flush toilets and always use the dual function because you're going to need extra water to push those solids all the way out. Or go find someone who's throwing out an old toilet that's a 5-gallon beast and put that in your basement. All right, Terrence, cheers to you. We got a new member in the house, guys. Then you want to worry about things like, does it look good? Is it easy to clean? And ultimately, does it fit in the space? There are toilets that are made with a 10-inch clearance from the bolts to the back of the wall. So if you have a weird house or you have build out or you've had wainscoting added or someone just didn't know what they were doing when they added the plumbing to the bathroom, you can buy a 10-inch on-center toilet, okay? And that just means it's 10 inches from the bolts to the wall. All right, there's another option for you. Yeah, the wax versus the rubber. I like rubber on old houses. I like the wax on the newer ones. It's just nice and simple to guarantee that seal. I like to set the toilet and then have to push it in. That's the way I always know I got good contact. All right. New Dog is a member. Got a question. Kitchener, Ontario, 1940s brick home. Ceiling leak from lead toilet drain. Better to deal directly with insurance or go to contact a Winmar and have them work with insurance. Can DIY the non-plumbing. You know, you got to ask yourself a question. Is it worth it to deal with insurance? Because it's not that big of a deal. If you have a bit of a leak, it's usually just a little bit of ceiling drywall repair. The leak itself is actually pretty simple to fix, but your plumbing is 100 years old, man. Like, it's time to upgrade that stuff, right? And that's not an insurance claim. You fix it now, you can basically redo the seal. It's going to be lead. Cast to cast, there's a lead seal. They drip it in. And you can buy an epoxy. It's like a great big cigar at the store. And you break it and you mush it up like plasticine. And you can squeeze it in and get a brand new epoxy seal for your cast. But I would rather see you update your cast because nowadays we can get a reciprocator blade that'll cut the cast pipe nice and clean. And then you can use a rubber gasket with some ring clamps and you can transition to ABS and you can update your plumbing to modern. All right, worth doing. Is it worth upgrading a vent to 4-inch or keep it to 2? Eric, that's a great question. Here's the rule. A 1.5-inch vent carries a rule of 10, okay? Which means, here's how you do it. A toilet is 3-inch pipe. That's 3. A shower is a 2-inch pipe. Add 2. A sink is 1.5. That's 1.5. Boom, right? You're only at 6.5 out of 10 on a 1.5-inch pipe, which means there's still room for another couple of fixtures to add to that. So the only reason you'd update your venting is if you had like 9, 10, or 11 fixtures on one pipe, okay? And that's the only time you really have to be concerned about that. Otherwise, you should have plenty of air. If you're having an issue with things going down, sometimes it's the toilet, and sometimes, and here's why. We made a transition from old toilets that had 5 gallons to these new ones. And there was a season there where a bunch of those toilets didn't work. Now we've got a standard, we've got testing sites. Today we're gonna find out, do they actually work and meet the test? But a lot of the ones that you put in your house in the last 5 or 10 years, you know, modern toilets with less water didn't function at all. They didn't even swirl, right? They just kind of sat there spitting water in every single direction, made a mess of everything, and didn't even do the job. So if you have an old toilet that you paid $100 for 10 years ago, you got what you paid for. You got a piece of crap. All right. Can you, oh, Jonathan wants to know if I can flush 2 sausages at the same time to simulate the large American portion size. Well, hold on, Jonathan. Let's talk about that. Because the testing centers actually test 1,200 grams of soy in pork sausage casing. Okay, 1,200 grams. This is only 700 grams. Yeah, like I do not have a small head. That's a lot of meat, all right? And I'm saying right now, if you're having more than this to deal with in a single flush, consult a physician, all right? So we're gonna just drop these in here. Yeah, there we go. We're gonna get the test started, all right? Right away, there's water leaking out of the bottom because it is full. Remember, the bowl is connected to the pipe and it creates an air seal so the gas from the sewer can't come into the toilet. That's why it's set up like that. So when you add sausage or whatever, you displace that water. Some of it leaks out. Here we go. 5 for you, 5 for you. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Now, which tailhead is more comfortable for sitting? That's the question we were going to ask. Why round versus elongated? There's a question that a lot of people have a question about, because there's a lot of bathrooms out there that are, how should we say it? They're small, like they're 4.5 or 5 feet wide by 7 feet long. And you put an elongated toilet in it, it takes up a lot of space. It's hard to access the shower. So you got to ask yourself the question. 2 things. 1, a round toilet, it's easier to get that circular motion because you're dealing with a round. As soon as you elongate it, you got to include a lot more technology to make the water go really quick and get a good siphon to make sure all the contents leave. So that's just the way it is. Elongated toilets, gentlemen, we all know the reason why we like elongated toilets. Let's just say there's more room at the end, all right? Like, let's just be real. If you're 250 pounds and you're sitting on a round toilet, it can be an awfully, how should we say, constricted space. All right. Someone here wants to connect the hot water pipe for flushing to keep the sausages hot. Yeah, we're not going to smoke it either. Now here's the other side. All right, this test also requires 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of toilet paper rolled up into 4 balls in each of these toilets. Yeah, crazy. Very specific test. We'll make sure this actually works. We've got to combine it with some resistance. Oh, here we go. Marco's got to figure it out. He needs elongated toilets for his sausage. You know, sometimes the twig and berries just appreciates a little bit of room, you know? Now, the other thing is elongated toilet seats do make it a lot more comfortable if you are, how shall I say, not 120 pounds, right? Like if you got some trunk, then having a elongated toilet gives you the room to be comfortable on the toilet seat. Here we go. Oh my goodness. There's some of these comments I just can't read out loud. All right. The question is, are you a sucker for buying Kohler? No, not necessarily. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't forget, different manufacturers have different warranties. So American Standard and Kohler, for instance, have much better warranty than the stuff that you get off the shelf generic from these other 2 box stores. All right. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's just do this. Make sure I got some more water in here. Is this all full? We're good to go. All right, test number 1. This is the Kohler toilet. Here we go. We're going to give this a flush and see if this actually works. Are we ready, Matt? Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. And what you're going to see is there's going to be an immediate push because 70% of the water comes from that hole at the bottom. And then there's going to be some water coming around the front, trying to create a circular effect. This is a round toilet seat, so it should handle this without any difficulty. 3, 2, 1. Oh, 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 oh. Close, but no cigar. Well, that was fascinating. Remember, the test that they're running is 1,200 grams, and that's only 600. Now, they also run the test with these little tiny sausages. So there's a whole pile of them, and it might affect it. But let's just be honest. I don't poop like a 20-pound dog. Okay? Right? My colon is as big as that Italian sausage. So we got to do this again for the next toilet. Here we go. Moving the camera. Let's slide this on over. Let's make sure that I got a good shot. Here we go. All righty. Now, same thing. Next toilet. And is it the white or the black? Sorry, this was that 2-function toilet. I got to confirm with that handle which color. Here it is. The black plunger is the full flush. Here it goes. 3, 2, 1. Well, I'll be darned. You know what? Isn't that amazing? The $99 toilet just outperformed the Kohler. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the Kohler toilet, for whatever reason with the design, still has a sausage in it. Yeah, that was fascinating. All right. Here we go. Let's check out the Project Source toilet now. Another $100 option coming to you from the Lowe's. We'll switch out that camera again in 3, 2, 1. And it got the job done. All righty. Well, you know, to be a perfectly scientific experiment, I'd have to probably run this a dozen times, but I'm not going to waste my energy. That was close, by the way. The secret is to hold the handle until the whole tank empties out. So if you find that you are having a problem with success, I'm going to show you in a minute how to adjust the toilet so you can have a larger volume of water in the back to handle your needs, okay? Maybe you don't have to throw out your toilet. Maybe you can just make this adjustment. Now we're going to make this last look here. Okay, how was that looking there, Matt? We got a good shot? I think so. Let's throw that up. Oh no, this could be so much better. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, that's the one. All right, here we go. This is American Standard. 3, 2, 1. And that handled that with ease. All righty. Well, there we go. Now, one thing I wanted to show you. If you're finding that you're having problems or you're getting regular blockage and you got to plunge a lot, okay? Sometimes all it is you don't have enough water. And I'm going to show you why. Let me just get my whiteboard out here in just a second. I'm going to rub all my notes off of here. All right. Our pipes work in our house like this. We have the pipe going down, and then it goes like this to the street. And there's a slow slope on this thing, 1 degree slope going down towards the street. All right. And when you flush, your water and your solids are running together generally. And then when they get to here, a lot of times you got to deal with 40 feet run. And so you'll have the solids. Okay. We're going to go like this. And then you'll have the water all in like this. And what happens is, depending on the slope of the pipe, the size of the solid, and all that other kind of stuff that's going on, and what kind of pipe it is, right? If it's an old galvanized pipe, there's a lot of rough surfaces that can snag onto the toilet paper and snag onto your sausage. And then what happens is all the water runs away, and it leaves these chunks down there. 2, 3 flushes later, you're just getting a buildup of things that don't have enough water to carry it away. Sometimes all you need to do is add a little bit more water to your tank so that you have more water coming from behind after you've flushed to solve your problem, okay? Now check this out. I'm gonna bring the camera back to the original toilet over here. Here we go. All right. Okay. Now, let's see if this makes any sense. Right here, every one of these toilets has got a fill valve with a floaty on it. And if you go in forward motion, it lifts the fill valve. Okay? So if your water is low, you can lift your fill valve to bring the water right up. All right. Now, let's get this one. In this particular case, this toilet right here, that's bad lighting, but the water was right where the overflow is, okay? And so you didn't get a chance to see it. You don't have a lot of room to lift this much. But this toilet over here, it was actually, we'll go back to the main screen here, Matt. Yeah, this toilet over here, the one from Lowe's and the American Standard from Lowe's, they both have almost 2 inches of space left that you can raise the float, okay? Now, if you can raise the float, you can add more water, all right? Now, remember, 70% of the water is going through that hole in the bottom, and the other 30% is chasing after, okay? So, if you're in a situation where you don't have enough water to do the job on a regular basis and you get in backups, it could be the pipe, could be the edge of plumbing, could be not enough water. Just take your drill, make that adjustment, and you'll increase the volume of water and the volume of push and the more water coming in behind afterwards too. And so that'll help you out. All right, let's answer some questions here. You know, I'm actually going to get back here where I'm on the screen. As you can see, I can see what I'm talking about. All right, Matt, maybe you can throw some questions up here for me because I am completely lost as to what's going on. Anybody got a question about toilets and what you can do? Thoughts around the Gerber toilet brand? You know, there's a lot of good toilets out there. There's also Mansfield toilets, okay? They sell those as well. There's a company called ProFlow that you can buy exclusively through Build.com or Wolseley or those types of places. There's a lot of brands. What you want to look for on the package is this. Does it rate for 1.28 gallon flush? Okay. Is it the right kind of height for you? Is it the right kind of seat formation for you? Is it the right kind of design style for you? Because the flat sides actually cost a lot more money. Does it have a diaphragm flange, or are you relying on those wax kits to make the seal to your plumbing? All right, that can be a game changer. Sometimes that upgrade, you can get a toilet in $400, $500, $800 range, but man, they'll last a lifetime and they won't damage your house ever. Like, what's the damage in your house worth? We just pulled a toilet out of the second bathroom over here. Somebody put in one of these cheap ones incorrectly on a laminate floor. So the laminate floor was destroyed. The underpat was soaking wet. The subfloor was all rotted out. I've got all kinds of work to do because they saved $100. And that's really maddening when you come to think of it. Oh, yeah. So the results are really simple. Every one of these toilets, I'm going to say, worked. The Kohler didn't, but I had to hold the handle. And I think I let go of the handle too early. You know, like some of these things, you push the handle down and you let go and the flapper stays open. On the Kohler toilet, the flapper shut right away. And I think I'm the reason why I didn't get enough water to get that done. So I'm going to cut them a bit of slack here, because if you're going to get rated, it's got to pass the test at 1.28. We weren't successful, but here's the point. Every one of these toilets came with that float device set way higher than a 1.28 liter flush, gallon flush. So I'm Canadian, guys. Every one of them came from the factory, set way higher. So you were buying I'm going to save water toilet, and you stick it in your house and you're flushing 2.5 gallons because the float set high. So if you really, really believe that you want to save water in your house, that's something you're really concerned about, take your drill, take a pail, do a flush, and then add 1.28 liters of water to the back of your toilet, and then adjust your float to set the water line at that height, okay? Because I'm telling you right now, 99% of the toilets out there are being sold to you at 1.28 gallon flush. It has the capacity for it. But in reality, you're buying a 2.5 gallon flush. So you're not getting the value for your money that you think you are. I tested an actual 1.28 and it works. So don't be afraid to get the drill and adjust your floats. You're going to save a ton of money. You're welcome. All right. Yeah, Julia, I need tall, elongated. I think it was Kohler. They have 3 different sizes available too. So take a look. Go to your house and say, hey, here's my toilet. Measure the height to the seat. Measure a dining room chair. And if you're more comfortable getting out of a dining room chair than your toilet, It's probably because the chair is at 18 inches and your toilet's at 16. There are lots of toilets on the market that are 15 inches, right? And so if you're tall, you're sitting there with your knees in your chest. Like, what's that all about? Like, that's not comfortable. Joe's went like back to the concept about elongated versus round. The bathroom is small, but you need an elongated. Would you put it in even if it's too big for the space for comfort, impact on sale? You know, Joe, here's the thing. Let me just show you this. Let's go through this. The Project Source toilet, from the tank to the front, okay, about 27 inches. This one is 29 inches, has 0 clearance, has 2 inches of clearance. The front of these bowls are both at the same location off the wall. The Kohler toilet is only 26 and it's around. The American Standard is a 27 and it's around. But I'll guarantee you, if you buy an elongated toilet that has a 10-inch on-center base, which is where the bolts of the toilet go, you're going to find that you probably are going to save 2 inches on the front end of that elongated. Okay? I'm just saying, it's a possibility. So shop around and see what you can find, because there might be a solution out there for that situation that gives you that extra couple inches that make it functional. Oh, my. Resale. No, I'm just going to give them away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these toilets down. I use dry erase marker, so I'm going to clean them up. I'll put them on the front of the road here, put a free sign on, and we'll let the neighbors have them. And that'll work out fine. I only need 1 toilet for my bathroom, so I'll give the other 3 away. Okay, what's the other proper way to install these types of valves with the proper adjustments, heights, etc.? There's only one thing you have to do with these valves, guys. You take a marker, okay? You flush your toilet. You add 1.3 liters or 1.3 gallons. Put a mark on the tank. And you keep adjusting your float and flushing until it fills to that marker line. That's where you win, okay? That's where the money is. What's wrong with a good old-fashioned bucket? Yeah, well, you know, hey, that works. Matter of fact, if you're going to run into a winter storm and you're worried about losing your power, here's the other fun fact. Fill up your tub full of water and have a bucket handy, okay? Because this works whether you're on a water supply or not. You can always just pour the water in the back of the tank. It's gravity fed, so as soon as you pull that handle, it works. All the pipes, all the plumbing going to the city and everything else are all in gravity fed and on slope. So you don't need power to have a functioning bathroom. Just saying. That'll help somebody someday down the road. All right. Replace the toilet tank with 5-gallon bucket if you hate EPA. Oh my goodness. Let's not hate EPA. Listen, the bottom line is this, guys. There's only so much fresh water available right now in the system. And we do have a solution. We could always desalinize the ocean. It's really expensive. So we either learn how to be more creative in engineering and conserve the water, or we're going to start paying 10 times as much in order to desalinate the ocean to get the water out of there. It's not technology that we don't have. It's just nobody really is in the mood to pay for that right yet. So if you want to see your water bill go 10 times, we can be as careless as we want to be, you know? Maybe we should be allowed to have so much water at the regular price, and then we'd be willing to pay a premium if we wanted to use more. And then we could start some desalinization programs so we don't have to worry about having these water bans and not being able to water our lawns. I don't know. There's a conversation to have there, but it's not on this channel. Yeah, there's no shortage of water. Just there's a shortage of affordable water. That's the thing. All right. Here is a question. Is there a lot involved into upgrading the standard toilet to an in-wall tank toilet? Yes, there's a lot involved. You have to move your drain. You got to move your water supply. You got to open your wall. You got to frame it and brace it properly. There's a lot involved, okay? It's not simple. What is simple is just buying a toilet. Stick it on the floor. Like hanging it on the wall versus sticking it on the floor, it doesn't save you any time and money. And in most cases, people have got the toilet on the outside wall. You can't hang it there anyway. Not in 4-season climate, that's for sure. Okay, new construction toilet test suggestions. Which would you rate as your favorite? Okay, so really what it comes down to is this. Which toilet is my favorite? I love the elongated toilets, okay? Now I can get the Kohler or the American Standard and elongated, it doesn't matter. I just grabbed the round as an option just for the heck of it to see if there was any difference with the test. These are all been designed really well. They've obviously been spending a lot of time and money in R&D on toilets in the last 10 years. Because I tell you right now, 5 years ago, if we did this test, it would not have been that successful. So hats off to everybody who's figured this out. For me, my favorite, yeah, I like the look of the American Standard. Don't ask me why, but there you go. All right, I think if I had to, I'd be going to Lowe's and picking up the American Standard toilet. It also has the elongated option, and so that is cool. And I like the fact that it's not white, right? It's got a little bit of an off-white look to it. Okay, so here we go. John has a thing here. Thoughts on using 2 wax springs for better seal? Okay, that's a great question. Let me bring out the whiteboard here, John. All righty. Now, every toilet that's made has one thing in common. Underneath the toilet, okay, like looking at the bottom, there's this 2-inch pipe. And this is sticking out, okay? And it's flush with the sides of the toilet, all right? So when you have your floor, your toilet flange should be no more than 1/4 inch higher than the floor and no less than perfectly flush. And then a basic wax spring, even the ones with the little plastic inside, with this toilet will meet together and create compression because you have to force the toilet into the ring to get a seal. That works. Any scenario where the floor is not level or you've added new levels to your floor and now your flange is below the finished floor height requires you to build up your flange. If you go with one wax spring here and one wax spring here and you squish them together, what happens in a lot of cases is upon squishing, the wax here is pushed over. And now your hole is only inch and 1/4. You're going to run into all kinds of problems with plugs. Okay? What you can buy is a supersized wax ring. All right? There's actually 3 sizes with the plastic diverter, without it, or with a plastic diverter and built up extra large. I'd get an extra large if you were flush. If your flange is flush to the floor, get the extra large. Try to avoid using 2 because that requires you to be perfectly level and hovering over that and pushing straight down. Any amount of levering action installing that toilet and you're going to push wax into the hole and you're on your way to all kinds of plunging. Joe is changing the toilet. What would a red flag be that if you encountered, you should call a plumber? If you're changing your toilet and you have rot around the subfloor where the toilet is, call a plumber or call a contractor of some kind. Because here's the thing, your toilet is screwed to the subfloor. And if the subfloor is rotten, you don't have the ability to mount it. And if you can't mount it, that means when you shift your weight, the toilet will actually move. And when you move the toilet, you break the wax seal, water gets out, increases the level of rot. So you can never install a toilet if your subfloor isn't dry and solid to receive the screws. Okay? So remember, you can't just add extra wax to solve your problem and silicone the seal. You've got to start with a good solid base or this thing is going to cause you nightmares. All right. We got a few more questions. Do you prefer wax springs over the rubber ones? Johnny, I like a wax spring on new construction, on new homes. On really old houses, they don't have proper thermal break. There's a lot of expansion and contraction, even in the foundation. I like the rubber ring because it expands and contracts and moves with all the different building materials and helps to keep a solid seal. So that's my answer, yes and no. It depends on the age of your home. Like, listen, everything we buy on the store today, that's post-1974 building code. That's post-1980s and year 2000 revisions on building code, okay? You can't apply any of that technology with something that was made before 1974. You got to use this and experience, and you got to know your building materials and the building science, and you got to have done all this stuff many times, had problems and had to fix it. And then you can have a proper answer. So if you want to ask me a question about your house, tell me, how old's your house? Where do you live? Is it 1 season, 4 season? Like, there's a difference between a house in Montreal, Quebec, and in Florida. Like, even if they're both 100 years old, it's completely different building science on how to solve your problem. So feel free to put some information here if you got a question, guys. Maybe we can help you out. Or you can consider joining our membership program. Like, we don't push this very often. We're just there if you want to. But like, honestly, if you need help and you don't trust who's giving you advice, join the membership game. Once you paid me, I got no skin in the game. I can just be honest, right? Like, I got nothing to gain from helping you out except helping you out. So feel free. Eric wants to know, do you remember those carpeted toilet seat lid covers? One up on you, Eric. Do you remember when they used to put carpet in the bathroom all around the base of the toilet? And men still stood up to take care of their business. Woo, mind blowing. Oh my goodness. The best rubber ring brand. Rubber. Doesn't matter. Okay, when you're dealing with buying a piece of rubber, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna go there. It's not necessary. If you find one, just use it and don't worry about it. Okay, rubber is waterproof under compression, period. So just be glad you found one. Because the thing is that different brands are available in different regions. So there's no sense me starting to rhyme off brands that are available in every different region. Is it better to silicone the base of the toilet to the tiles all around or just the front? You know, here's $1 million question. And then we'll move on, but depending. If you live in a single family home, you don't have to. Okay. I still like to seal the entire toilet seat because of the occasional flood, not even from the toilet, from the shower or the tub can happen. And it's nice to make sure that that water is not going down in underneath that toilet, especially where I live. You know, we have basements, main floor, second floor. So anytime you have a water event, 2 out of 3 times it's affecting another living space. So we don't want that water finding its way next to that hole around the flange, right? If you live in an apartment building, it's part of the code. You have to seal it because they have drilled holes in the concrete going from one unit to the next. Okay, for the same reason. But it doesn't require it in residential building code. In my opinion, it should, because it also helps to stabilize the toilet so it doesn't rock. So once you have a good installation, why would you want to mess with risking that up? Anyway. Yeah, and here's Robert. Don't seal the toilet to the floor. And why not? Some people are like, because then you'll know when you have a leak. I'm like, but even if you get water on the floor, it's going to go underneath that toilet and start causing a problem. So if you want to know if you have a leak, you're going to see it in your ceiling, or you're going to have your tile grout go discolor. It'll get darker when you flush. You'll know you have a leak. That's not enough. I would rather seal it. I would rather install it and seal it and know it's done right and never have a problem than not seal it and increase the chance that water can find its way under my toilet down the road. Yeah, that's the old, Robert's like, you don't know if it's leaking. Yeah, you do. You're going to seal it. You're going to see it in the ceiling underneath, or you're going to see it in your grout lines. You'll know. Trust me, you'll know. All right. Let's get to another question. Laura. Hey, cheers, Laura. Welcome back. Laura's a member. Why is wax better for new homes instead of the rubber ring? Why not always use rubber? Here's the thing. You can always use rubber if you want. It's not a bad thing. I'm just saying in new homes, we have thermal break, we have modern construction materials that don't expand and contract as much. We don't have the issues that we deal with old houses on bad foundations. So it's not necessary. And you're going to find that the rubber is like 3 or 4 times more expensive. So wax is sufficient if it's installed properly, and it's not necessary to spend the extra money to get the same performance. That's all. But you can use it if you want to. If it makes you feel more comfortable, then by all means, go with rubber. It still works no matter what situation you're in. There we go. Nevdog is a member here. He said, had a leak question earlier. Is the fix lead pipe to PVC toilet flange with rubber and double band clamp DIY-able or best for a plumber? You know what? I can't wait to get another old house just so I can show you this. It's a saw blade. You put it on your Sawzall. You cut your pipe. Now, the thing about cutting cast iron pipe is if it's a 2-story home, you got to support the weight of all of that cast pipe all the way up. And sometimes it vents straight out, but in most cases it has an elbow in the attic and it goes across, and they do that to help carry the weight of the cast, okay? So if you're not sure, what you do is you buy some stainless steel all-around. It's that metal band with the holes in it. You buy it in the plumbing department. Okay, you're going to attach it to the framing in the ceiling, and you wrap it a few times around your pipe, and you can stretch it out and screw it into the other side of the joist, and that carries the load. Then you can cut a section of the pipe out, right? Put in the MJ clamps, the rubber clamps with the gaskets on top and bottom, put in a section of pipe, change it out so you're now ABS to run to your new toilet, or you can just cut the pipe, put the clamp on, and then run everything ABS all the way through the roof if you want to. Either way, that's one way that you can fix a small section repair and maintain the venting the way it is, okay? It carries the weight, and that's how we do it. Cheers. Existential Paint wants to know, would you go with wax or rubber in an 80-year-old house in Tennessee with a new subfloor? That really comes down to subfloor and four season. Your structure, are you on a crawl space? Is it poured foundation or is it just on block? If it's just on block, you do get winter. You're going to have your house doing some shifting. You could have different soil conditions one side of the house to the next. You could have different freeze-thaw cycles going on. So I would definitely go rubber. It's not about the subfloor, it's about your foundation. So if there's any question about the stability of that foundation, having the ability to lift one side of the house versus the other, then go with rubber. Cheers. Okay, can you go over the difference in four styles behind you again? Yeah, not really. They're all chair height. I got two round, two elongated. They all basically worked. The Glacier Bay has 0 clearance behind the wall, so you can't use tile there. The rest of them have a 2-inch clearance. They're all 12-inch on center for the bolts, and they all stick out about the same distance relative to if they're round or elongated. Elongated sticks out of the wall 2 inches longer. This one has a really big top. Like, I don't know why. It's actually quite thin relative to the other ones. So it really comes down to which one you like the look of. As far as Kohler was the most difficult. It has 3 bolts in the back tank. Okay, the American Standard had a special little handy tool that comes with it, so that your nut and your washer is in one piece, and you can use the tool to thread it on. So that was really a great feature. And the other 2 are just on nuts, and you got to use a screwdriver from the top and a wrench from the bottom. Okay, that's about it. At the end of the day, they're all porcelain. They're probably all being made south of the border. So that's just the deal. And if you want to buy an American-made toilet, you can buy one called Mansfield. I think they're Mansfield, Ohio. And I think they make toilets here in North America. So if you want to be patriotic and buy American, you can do that. All right. We're going to get near the end here, guys. So if you got any more questions on plumbing, toilets, your toilet problems, and everybody's got them. You know, like there's billions of toilets in this world, and half of the toilets in this country are actually leaking right now. Because half the homes in North America are built before plumbing code. Yeah, think about it, all right? So it's worth it to take a look. It's worth it even if you think your toilet works. Lift it off, have a look. See if you're rotting your house out, right? Upgrade your system. Change it to a low flow. Save some money. $100, 30% of your water bill. What's your water bill in a year? 30% of that water bill is your toilet water. If you can cut that in half, is it worth it buying a $100 toilet? And a lot of places, they even have programs going on. They're going to give you a subsidy because they really want to reduce the water. Because a lot of municipalities are at a point, they just can't continue to grow and deliver the same amount of water. They don't have the opportunity, okay? Okay, do flushable wipes actually break down? You know, that's a really good question. I don't know. I really don't know. I would like to think that that was all true. Yeah, Joshua and the rubber versus wax. He went all rubber and haven't seen a problem yet. Well, good for you, dude. And it's, you know, it's an old school concept. The reason the wax came around is because they found a way to save $3 a toilet, and the average home is built with 2 toilets now. That's $6 a million homes a year. So the building industry saved $6 million. That's why we went that way for the last 40 years. So that's, I guess they did well. Made $250 million on going from rubber to wax. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Corey's got a question. Buying a new construction home here soon. What are some things to look for in regards to the bathroom/toilet when doing the inspections? Sorry if you already answered this. Great question, Corey. Here we go. Ready? Here's your toilet. First of all, check the tank. Is it moving? If it's wiggling back and forth, it may not be tightened properly. Okay. Secondly, check your toilet. Does it rock left and right? Okay. If it's rocking back and forth, it's going to be set in wax. The wax seal is broken. You're in trouble. Okay. So if it rocks, just point it out on your inspection when you buy the house. Say, hey, the toilet rocks. I want it reset, and I want you to silicone the base. All right. And that way, if there's anything wrong with their installation, they can't blame you down the road. All right, cheers, buddy. If it's yellow, let it mellow, save water. Yes, Lyndon and Frank, that is so true. I actually, with the last few days, was working here with the water off, and we did develop quite a college toilet. My God, it was good to get the water back on again. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight. Like always, we love doing these live shows. It's great to connect with you. It's great to answer some questions. Hopefully this was helpful. Understanding that the new toilets that are on the market, they're all performing at basically the same performance. So at the end of the day, if you want to buy a cheap toilet, it's still going to flush the sausage, right? Nothing to be afraid of. So save your money. Because really, at the end of the day, this one has 2 inches of clearance on the back. It's an elongated toilet. It did the job. It's $100. It looks like a toilet, acts like a toilet, saves you money. That's all for me. Jeff out. Cheers to next time, guys.